as I might have said earlier in the vid, this is the next day, so I have the Tomei oil, and this is, you know, like 40-50 bucks a quart or whatever it is. And then I have some, I don't know, a couple things, one thing at 80W90 and 75W90. I'm just going to throw these in because I am going to do the break-in, and so I'll throw these in and do the break-in and then swap out the oil and then put the good oil in. Break-in is, you know, you just do the figure eights both ways for a while. Some people think it's not necessary, but I'm going to do it just as a precaution and make sure everything's sitting right and not leaking oil and stuff like that, because I thought on those gaps that maybe that was an issue, but it appears it should be fine. So actually, let's get this oil in and then get it back up in the car. For a moment I thought it was leaking off the side, but when you tip it over, you have to watch this port, either cap it or put your finger on it, because it'll start going out of there once it gets high enough. Pretty much just to make sure everybody knows, if you don't, which you probably already do, is you'll fill it up until it starts to leak out, and that should be high enough. I tilted it up to put a little bit more in, bent it down, and then once it started to leak a little, then I just capped it up. I'm not too worried about having a little bit extra now because I'm just going through the break-in and then I'll put the other stuff in. Alright, so my plan of attack is to get the diff up. Need to get the one output shaft over this exhaust. I don't actually have a rear sway bar because it's a base model and I haven't put mine in yet, but I do have one. So I can get around there, get it up through those holes, and then get those first bolts started. Then I should be able to get the rest in. So let's get going with that. Now that I got those two bolts in, I need to get, is that it right there? Yeah, I need to get that hose on there. I'm just gonna screw the nuts on there a little bit just so it doesn't fall out. Maybe I'll place those a little bit better as well. So I tried messing with the needle nose pliers, but it was a pain, so I just reached up through here, your hand could fit, and I just grabbed it and pushed it on. It came on. It just went on. I didn't even have to worry about loosening that and tightening that. It's on there. Alright, now for the front. Alright, so I have these bolts on just enough to hold them in place. When I jacked it up, I made sure that both the axles kind of went ahead and set in there, because pushing them and pulling them to get them around to get onto the output shaft's a real pain. So as you're jacking it up, kind of pull these down and link them up. That way when you jack it up, they're already on there. I got the front bolts in, just, you know, a few threads to hold it up in there, and I pulled the drive shaft up, so it's all, everything's all where it needs to be. Now I'm gonna tighten these down so it ends up pulling back to where it needs to be, and it won't go too much further because of these front bolts. I'll bolt those down. So once those two are down, then I'll move on to the axles and the drive shaft. Now that we got the back pretty tight, let's just do a couple love taps. And don't forget, on the left side, you have your ground plug for this wire as well. So slide that on and slide on the nut. Okay, the base nuts are 19. The front nuts are 17. And then this little nut also is 19. And get that tightened down and get this put in, and then do the rest. All right, just a friendly reminder, make sure you bolt up those two bolts, put the second bolt on with the ground, get the hose, get the, see that, get the hose put up there. Can't really see it from here. Get that hose put up, bolt those two bolts down, torque all the drive shaft bolts down, all the axle bolts. Make sure you have oil in the diff and that the drain plug is on and the fill plug is on. And at that point, you should be able to drop the car. All right, I know a lot of times people say you don't need to break it in, but I don't really know what the rush is. Just takes 15 to 20 minutes, just a little extra precaution, and just gonna do 15-20 minutes of figure eights on time lapse. Well, I broke in the car, and I would have to say that I don't know if I trust that Valvoline very well. I think I'm gonna put this Tomei in now. Hopefully that quiets it down, because it's really noisy. But I got my 1/2 inch, some rags, and the pump. So all of you should know, you have the fill plug and you have the drain plug. Make sure you can get that fill plug off first, because if you can't and you drain all the oil, you're gonna have some issues. You have to pull it. So make sure you get that fill plug off first. Once you get the drain plug almost out, you gotta get your something for the oil to go into. Check for any metal shavings. Because the drain plug should have a magnetic tip. In case there's any shavings, it'll attract it to there, so it doesn't stay stuck up in the diff. All right, now that the oil's pretty much all out. It stopped dripping. I jacked it up on 4 wheels, I jacked it up so it was level. Otherwise, if you end up jacking just the back up, a lot of the fluid will stay in the front of the diff, and I wanted to get as much out as possible. After it's leaked, just clean up around the drain hole plug, or clean the drain hole, and make sure you clean the drain plug as well. You want to get the drain plug nice and clean. Also, once you get that, just pop it back in. As soon as you got it pretty tight, give it a nice couple taps or love spins or oompa loompas or whatever you got. Now let's take off the fill plug. I loosened it up so I knew I could already get it out, so it's just a matter of spinning it out. There we go. Let's open your Tomei oil can. Get the pump. And this one just slides down in there. And then we're gonna slide this up into the fill plug. Take your hose, get up to the fill plug. Just kind of shove it in there so it doesn't back out on you. And then start pumping. Being that you have a clear tube, it's nice to see it going through, and you want to fill it up right to the point where it starts dripping out of the fill area, and that's high enough. It should take about 3/4 of this container or a little bit more. Okay, it just started dripping right from the fill plug. All right, once it's on finger tight, just torque it back down. If you like the video, like it, please comment and subscribe to my channel. Peace.